Today we're gonna redo old classic. I've been using this photo and this tutorial for in many of my workshops, so I thought I might as well redo it and maybe put down my thoughts and update it. Let's go. I'll put a link to in the here to the old video that I did on this one. It was for one of those October Inktober, I think. Anyway, the link will be here, and let's go. And I'm gonna try to put it in real time as opposed to speeding it up. So the idea is very simple. It is, however, by no means a simple sketch. The idea is that with pencil or pen line, um, you would basically lay two or three or maybe four layers, right? The first layer is a orangey sort of mix. I intend to use quinacridone burnt orange, throw in a little bit of lemon yellow, a little bit of new gamboge, and a little bit of quinacridone gold. And that would be the mix. You know that I do not like single color mixture. The more color, the merrier. I'm a social butterfly, so it makes sense if I add colors to the whole thing anyway. So the whole idea is that once you finish your drawing, if you look at the photo, you will find that. Oh, by the way, I'll put in the description a photo to Pexel. I would also put this photo in the community pages as well, so that it's easier for you to find it. So just note that I use pencil because I really want the sketch to be about the layers of the colors. Quinacridone at the bottom layer, and then a mix of purple or dark purple for shadows and cast shadow and foam shadow for which is layered on top after the first layer of quinacridone, rather the orangey sort of colors has dried. If you decide to use a pen to draw, there's really no problem with that. But I do think that you do need to make sure that at parts where the kettle because it's white, so you may not want to use thick line. You rather use very thin line, or even if you use diluted ink or gray ink instead of black. I'm using the eraser to kind of erase the mistakes I've done. I always tell my students not to use eraser, just do what I say and not do what I do. um, anyway, plenty of mistakes in the drawing. I'm not really best drawing, I guess at the moment, but doesn't matter. So let's go. Let's paint, right? Okay, so as you can see, I'm mixing quinacridone burnt orange. I'll be testing it on the well, it's not bright enough. I'm going to add a bit of quinacridone rose to it to make it a bit reddish. If you look at the tea, it does have a slightly different hue to the background. So, it makes sense not to use the same hue. But it also makes sense to use the same base, which is a quinacridone burnt orange, of which then the same color can be used to put to be, you can use that to paint table if you like. Um, but then, of course, it makes sense to, vary it a little bit and not too much, just to maintain the unity. As you can see, I try to lift off the paper. It's a very flimsy paper. I bought this paper for teaching workshop so that I can do demo and so on. So it's not really high quality paper per se, but it does its job. I mean, I believe this is a paper pulp, not cotton, so it doesn't take scrubbing very, very well, right? And as I tilt it, you could see the water is flowing downward. You can see beads are forming. I used the watercolor to actually correct some of the shape and sizes, because I think I drawn the pout a little bit too big. So yeah, so more pigment, and mixing it, and I'm trying to make sure while it's still wet, I'm putting in the pigment to blend it, and make sure it doesn't really produce too much cauliflowers. As you know, when parts of the paper dries, there will be cauliflowers if you're not careful as you lay more pigment or more colors in. It's especially obvious when you're using the same wash or the same colors. The cauliflower will be a little bit more obvious and more prominent, so to speak, if you're not careful. Especially if some parts of it dries up and then you lay more washed, it will back run, and cauliflower is basically a back run onto drying patches. So I think the first wash is almost done. You probably need about 10-15 minutes depending on how dry or humid your place is. Uh, I mean, watercolor actually teaches you patience anyway. So one of the things that I learned a lot about watercolor is I need to learn patience. And the other thing I picked up is playing online chess. So while I wait for my sketch to dry, I'll play a game of 5 minutes, or maybe I'll make a few moves on my chess game. Um, but today, not really. I had some other things to do. I was writing some books again, part of my book. So I used the waiting time to update my book. Okay, so while we wait for the first layer to dry, let me just tell you a little bit about my travel sketching workshop in Hanoi. I was pretty busy beforehand. I made a whole bunch of cards like these. The students really enjoyed because I made a half-size stickers for them as well. This time around, I flew Singapore Airlines and not Scoot. Well, they both belong to the same company. Scoot is the budget airlines of Singapore Airlines. I enjoy both. Singapore Airlines clearly has better service. Here's James Leong, who is my sidekick. Both of us had so much fun. I mean, we've done this like 3 times, and this was the third one. This is some of my students. This is James and Cherise. Cherise used to work with me in UOB, and she really enjoyed. I think she's the first time, and we kind of ate our way through town. Clearly, the first meal, we were at Buncha Dak Kim, one of my favorite, Buncha place in Hanoi. And this is the other table in the same restaurant. So, I mean, it's really fun. I mean, food, sketching, you really can't have a better time. All right, now that the first layer is dry and done, we're gonna mix ourselves a French ultramarine and QBO, or quinacridone burnt orange mixed. That makes it slightly neutral, but with a tinge of either blue or orange, depending on which one is dominant at that point. The idea is to lay the first layer of shadow onto the you know the sketch. The important thing is to note is that the entire shadow is one piece. The shadow might go into the shape of the uh, pot, or the shape of the cup, or the saucer in this case, but you have to see the entire shadow as one shape. How I'm doing it right here. This is important. In fact, this is the entire lesson. The lesson is to see shadow as one shape, right? Not two, three, but one shape. This lesson itself, I don't think I was very clear in Hanoi when I was talking to my students, but the idea is that they are of a unified shadow shape. The ability to see these in the different sort of shapes out there in different sketches is going to be more important as they sketch and simplify even more. Oftentimes, you sketch shadows in multiple shapes. In other words, you break up the shadow. Depending on where it lands, you break the reflected shadow or cast shadow, or you break the form shadow or the shadow that's part of the object, and you paint them separately. I think this is a mistake. So in watercolor, the ability to see one shape that runs across lines or shapes, it's very, very important. That is really something that I'm trying to teach with this exercise, which is to say, shadow runs across shapes. So as you can see, the more you lay the sort of shadow as one piece, they are somehow becoming more unified in the way you look at them. Unity is very, very important. The principle of unity is one that needs to be upheld above all else. I mean, it's the idea that they look unified, they look like one, is one of those basic idea that makes a sketch looks cohesive and good. As you can see, the shadow looks a bit light, intentional, because we're gonna layer the shadows, right? You can see the shadows on the table and the shadows on the pot and on the saucer. It's different value, right? And that's because there are multiple layers of shadows. But the idea is that your eyes should be able to see light. And once you lay the first uh, layer of shadow on the sketch, your eyes should see the three-dimensional, pots and three-dimensional saucer, or at least it's easier to see it. And the idea is to kind of trick the eyes to see 3D by using the second layer of shadows. And as you gradually layer more and more pigment, you should be able to create a more three-dimensional sketch. The few other thoughts I have would be, as you put in the small little shapes for the handles of the pots, the foam shadows on the far side of the teapot, and the shadows on the spoon, and so on and so forth. Just be careful of the edges. So in other words, watch the shape. There are some shapes that has hard edges on one side and then soft edges on the other side. The idea is to watch the edges, put in as best you can where the hard edges are, where the soft edges are, and so on and so forth, right? Now I'm putting in the shadow that runs all the way through to the tea, as well as part of the cup. So you could see that it's one shape. They are not multiple shape, it's one shape. And I lay it as confidently as I can across the entire two shapes, right? But it's one shadow shape on multiple shape, if you like. That's the idea. So now, as you observe, it has sort of a wash out look. The whole thing does not look three-dimensional. The shadows is not quite at the right value. So the idea now is to mix a more potent purple, and this has to be carefully laid on the right dark spots of the shadow. So now you can see the shadow is on two tone. There's two tone or two value tonality, right? There's a darker purple and there's a lighter purple, but both will allow the sketch to make it three-dimensional. You can put as many layers you want, but minimum layer is always best. So in this case, I'm just trying to lay down the third layer of purple to make the teapot and the shadow. Well, the shadow makes the teapot and the saucer pop, right? So the idea is to have the right amount of value to go with the sketch in order to make the three-dimensional sense of the object. So there you go. You can see that the three-dimensional sense is beginning to pop. There's some issues. The value for the corner shadow is not dark enough, so I'm darkening it. And in fact, I think it can go a bit darker, but it's okay. It's a sketch, right? So we don't really have to get 100% right. The spout, needs to get a bit darker. Some drawing, some doodling, some calligraphy of lines to make sure that the objects looks like spoon. The teapot has a cover and so on and so forth. The other thing I'm watching out for is the soft edges, right? So there's some foam shadow that needs to be softened. You'll see me sort of put down some wet water to kind of wash away some of the edges to, just softening it. Those are little things that you can use your eyes to observe based on photograph or based on reality in front of you. You can, just keep going until you're happy, right? If you have time, you can go slow, and if you have no time, you can kind of rush and just approximate. I mean, it's a sketch, so you can really approximate, and you still look pretty good. I mean, if you want it to look like loose and simple, and sometimes loose is even better. Okay, we're almost done. I think we'll just make some correction with maybe some soft edges and so on, and I think that's pretty much it. So I hope you guys enjoy today's episode. Sorry, I've been a bit recalcitrant with my posting, but I've been really busy at work, as you can imagine. But I'm hoping to do like, the usual 1, 2 video a month, maybe more, 3, 4 if I can. But I hope meanwhile you stay safe wherever you are. This is WeTake. And yeah, and I hope you will try this tutorial. Use the reference photograph I put in the description below, and you could let me know if you have run into or any problem. All right. Yeah, let you enjoy the sketch here and bye for now.